Para, do you still have your white cat?
That's a terrible thing. He went out to take a pee one night and never came back in. The old coyotes got him.
Too bad.
That is too bad. Wow, he couldn't have been young. We've been seeing him for almost the whole time we've been here.
Yeah, well, he carried on like he was a kitten, but he was about 12 or 13.
Right. I'm impressed. Well, I'm sorry. We'll miss him. He was a beast.
Oh, I miss him. He was look, he was Irish. We flew him in from Ireland. $75 on the plane and he sat at our feet. But he was a born hunter, and he'd go out and he'd take on the animals at night, and he'd come in all tore up, and he just didn't bother him at all.
He was great. He was wonderful.
Yeah, I really miss him terribly. And everyone, my daughter says, you got to get another cat. I says, yeah, but I haven't finished grieving yet.
Yeah, that's right. You finish grieving and then honor him by doing a rescue cat.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay, I was thinking if I got an older rescue cat, I wouldn't have to deal with all that carry on.
Okay.
It's about 4:02 now, so I think I've given people enough of a chance to sneak in here late. So we're going to start, and I do want to say good afternoon to everyone. And well, I'm Larry Rippey, San Geronimo Valley Community Center in a kind of virtual format, but we're still here. And I want to welcome you to what's essentially the 4th edition of our virtual artist salon. And we launched this series as a way of just kind of bringing artists together with the community, get people a chance to see what people have been up to while we've all been kind of cloistered away, and just as we were just doing, have a chance to kind of really see and talk to each other, learn what's going on. Anyway, this month I'm real pleased to have Richard Lang, Judith Selby Lang, and they're going to do a really interesting presentation, essentially, I believe, surrounding Earth Day, or what might be Earth Month, or Earth and Sea Month. We could call it a lot of things. They will have a title for it. I've always enjoyed over the years looking at their work whenever it would come through the door at the community center, because it was always a surprise. I never knew quite what I was going to be getting into, and that's individually and collectively the projects they'd be involved in. A lot of artists, of course, they do painting, they do landscape or abstract, they do a certain medium, they do a certain approach, but I find that this particular team comes up with all kinds of different things, and we're going to look at least one facet of that today. This is getting back to some plastic, and a very interesting theme. So I think I will be turning it over to, I did want to mention just briefly also that if you happen to be in Fairfax, in the right there at the Parkade, part of the public art in the Parkade, an ongoing series of sculptural pieces. The piece that's currently up is by Judith. And again, we're getting back to a theme that you'll be hearing a lot about tonight. So welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to Judith Selby Lang, Richard Lang. Thank you for being here.
Ta-da.
Ta-da! Hi, everybody.
Hello.
We don't have any fanfare music, I'm sorry.
Ta-da! Okay, well,
We'll
should
do
we
it.
just jump right in?
Let's jump right in.
Okay, so excuse my, I'm going to share our screen, and we're going to bring up our Keynote, and we're going to hit play.
Oh, that's interesting.
All right, how's that for everybody?
That's good.
Yes.
Good, okay,
Okay, good.
okay.
You want to read that?
I'm going to read this, just the first little bit. The river is within us. The sea is all about us, says T.S. Eliot in the Four Quartets. The inner waters of our souls are as vital as the water of the planet. By allowing the creative flow, paying attention to the small voices, artists nourish and replenish the inner waters. If we're lucky, the work we do goes deep enough to touch the common aquifer and add to the spring.
What makes an artist an artist? Artists are the people who have this little weird idea and they act on it. and they keep acting on it. And regardless of the consequence or the outcome, something amazing unfolds.
We think of ourselves as artists first. Beauty is our prime directive. That's the thing that motivates us. Although I must say, we're happy that it is co-joined in an environmental effort.
Okay.
That is just a little taste of a longer 8-minute piece called The Deep Dive with the Langs. There will be links presented at the end or connected to this program, and you'll be able to click through and see the whole piece. That's just to give a taste of where we're going to explore today.
Yeah. So that's the idea. What makes an artist? We're going to see if we can find out. So what that piece just said was, we all have these little ideas that bubble up from underneath. And this is a piece I did some years ago, thinking about what happens when we go fishing for ourselves. And many fish bites if you got good bait. So this is about 4 feet tall, and I think it speaks for itself, but to have an idea and to act on it unfolds other ideas. And that's the whole idea of making art. So this is the latest piece that I've just done. And I had a dream some years ago about being on a wide desert playa, and the playa was dotted with little wells that looked like this. Looked exactly like this. And the stunning revelation of the dream was that all of these wells were connected to the same aquifer. And so what artists do is they make things. So I made a well, and this one happens to go all the way through to Madagascar, and we call it the lemur hole. We haven't found, none have crawled up this far, but it goes all the way to Madagascar. And so in our, this is kind of what we have done on our COVID vacation. So this is a gateway. When I started my art life, I was a sculptor making gateways, and here's the latest gateway. And this is the gateway to absolution. So you are all forgiven now. So this is my studio. What I've been doing, some of you know that I was a commuter into San Francisco running an art business, the Electric Works, and I would come home and I was too tired to do any large scale work, so I made all of these little pieces. And when I retired in 2016, I started putting the pieces together, and instead of gluing it all together, they live on this metal wall and they're magnets, and the stuff can move around and move around. And so I call this piece the Large Hadron Collider, because I have smashed all these pieces apart and now they seem to be coming together again. So there it is. So these individual, the thing is 9 feet tall. Wow.
And so all these little characters, which are animals, some are people, they all have names and they all speak to me. So over on the, do we have a picture of the, yeah, here's one of the pieces. This is Daphne Duck. And I usually start the morning having a conversation with Daphne, and she's got many wise things to tell me. You can see by that look, she knows just what she's talking about. And on her left is, this is Oyster Catcher Bill, and he's got a few things to say too. I'm not going to go into their conversations, but that's pretty much how I work these days. Can I say a little thing about the source images here? What's interesting, many things are interesting watching this thing evolve over time with the magnets moving the elements around until he gets it just right. They're sourced from different, I would like to say they're sourced from different parts of his brain. Some of these elements are hand drawn, some are photo derived, some are computer generated. Did I say photographs? So there are all these different media that are part of the underlying combination of the collage process.
And it feels pretty much like the mind, because there are many things that go on in our minds, and each thought that we have has a different character. And so here's one of the sandstone twins, which is part of the thing. And these two, there's two of these, and they are in dialogue with each other. This one is King Carlos. And this piece is, you can imagine, it's about 4 feet tall. And this is called, it's kind of an homage to Hamlet. This is called King Carlos Was of Two Minds. And this one is also about 4 feet tall. This is called Beauty is No Joke. And we were at the golf course the other day, what are we calling it now?
The Commons, the Grand Commons.
The Grand Commons. And there was a raven imitating a squirrel. And it was just hilarious. Why was he doing this? I don't know. But he was a perfect mimic of a squirrel.
Fooled us.
Fooled us. So anyway, beauty's no joke. You can say about this.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is called A Balanced Heart. And I took this pace and I made stickers.
Okay, I'll go to the next.
Made stickers out of it. And these were for sale at the art show. You can buy a sheet of these stickers for, I don't know, what do we sell them for?
$25, I think.
$25, yeah, you can get a whole sheet of these stickers.
As a benefit to the community center.
A benefit to the community center.
So if you're interested, we'll have that link.
Okay.
Okay. So it's been an extraordinary year. We've suffered many disappointments. Things have closed down. The art world has gone a little bit topsy-turvy. But all the while, I have been thinking about this well, this source of inspiration. And embedded in that story for me is a personal family story of my uncle who passed away several years ago at age 103. His story involved striking it rich in Montana during the oil boom. He had an oil well, and he was a young man, and his wife, Elsie and Carl, saw the gusher, the geyser go up, and they danced around and they said, oh, this is it, this is it. And then it was actually a dry well. There was this moment of gusher and then the dry well. But Carl, being who he was always a glass half full kind of person. And this story became, in a way, part of our family mythology, the oil well that was there and then it wasn't, it was almost, and so on. But he always held in his heart the excitement of that gusher. So I thought, I want a gusher. I'm going to, inspired by that story, and because of the long and remarkable gushing of plastic that we have had in our lives, I wanted to make the connection between oil and plastic. And so I set about to create an Oil Derrick. And this is the Oil Derrick that Larry mentioned that's at the Parkade in Fairfax. And it is perfectly placed because it's in the parking lot. So there are lots of automobiles going by. It's right across from the gas station. So it's centrally located there, representative of this space. And then right across the way is a different kind of gas station because there's a coffee shop. And then if you need to, there's the Scoop. So if you happen to be traveling through downtown Fairfax, lovely Fairfax, you can just pass it by and take a look. One of the great things about being an artist in the public space, and especially during this time, is it's open 24/7. There's plenty of distancing, so anybody can have an experience of this Oil Derrick. And it's always a great delight to have you might say, an innocent passerby walk by, not intending to get up in the morning and happen to see an artwork. So the engagement with the process is pretty exciting to be out in the public realm like this. There's a little sign that explains the project. One of my great inspirations, and marvelous wall of wood scraps. She was also a recycler, taking bits and pieces, in this case, all black, which inspired the base of my pedestal. This is all plastic that was collected from Kehoe Beach. Richard and I, some of you know that since 1999, we've been collecting plastic from that one beach. And in this case, this is the black. So again, creating this relationship between plastic and this gusher of plastic. I feel like I'm rich beyond compare. Uncle Carl didn't know what he's talking about. I got so much plastic in my life, it's no problem. It's a gusher, it's a bonanza.
Fortunately, we have a barn.
This got partially inspired by a really important project that's going on right now called Extraction 2021. And it's Art on the Edge of the Abyss. And it was Peter Koch of the Codex Foundation envisioned an international project that would be discussing in many venues the idea of extraction and the resources that we're sucking out of the ground, be it mineral, oil, all different ways of interpreting that extraction. So the Parkade is on this map and is an active participant in Extraction 2021. So there will be, again, a link. I have a website a blog devoted to this project called The Plasticine Discontinuity, where I've chronicled over the last couple of years my exploration into my uncle's story. I found paperwork. I should say that my sister and I still own the mineral rights to that oil well. So I actually own oil for whatever it's worth. Kind of a terrible irony.
This is an oil painting I did quite a while ago. It's 8 feet across. And do you want to say something about it?
Well, I just want to say that to me, it's this uplift of the incredible energy of water. And it feels like a piece about redemption and blessing all at the same time.
It's called Forgiving. I should say that when I painted this, my mother came into my studio and she looked at it and she said, "That is the most horrible thing I have ever seen," which made me happy.
Yeah. I think it's really beautiful. Anyway, it brings us to water. And I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about the North Pacific Gyre, the water that's going around. Well, actually, every ocean has its currents. And in our case, you can see on the map, the North Pacific Gyre, and then the California current that comes down the coast. And that's part of what contributes to all of the plastic that washes ashore onto Kehoe Beach, our beach. We like to say it's the great conveyor. On a single day, we happen to find this incredible array of single-use water bottles, all from Asia, China, Japan, quite an assembly. On closer inspection, there was this one from the Beijing Olympics. You can see on the surface, well, you can't see it very well, but it's embossed with sports figures. And we found this actually 4 years after the Olympics. So it took it 4 years to make its journey across the ocean. And then we subsequently found one in all different sizes. We have a complete set.
Yeah, we have a 1/4 liter, a 1/2 liter, a full liter, and anyway, a full collection.
A full collection. Thrilling to find these washing up on the beach. And then this is one of my favorite. It's diet water, 0 calories. Need I say more?
This one's from India.
Yeah, it's from India. Yeah.
So the thing that allows us to have our plastic project is this barn, so we can keep it all intact and with us. And the artwork, which you'll see that we make out of this stuff, none of it becomes a permanent thing that you can't buy our plastic. It all stays here. So when we make a piece, we photograph it and then we recycle our own work back into our barn. We don't want any of this plastic escaping. There's enough of it.
So this barn allows us also to be at the ready. So our inventory, you can see we've got balloons, pens, pastels, all sorted and organized. So when we get invited to exhibit our work, we are ready to go. So the Bedford Center over in Walnut Creek invited us to participate in a show called The Great Wave. And so we thought, well, let's do something, a reverie in blue.
So sorting the plastic, you know, as any of you who do painting know, or any kind of visual art, you know that there is blue and then there's blue and then there's blue. So what blue is it? And figuring out the different levels of blue is really fun.
Yes, very satisfying to make these subtle differentiations of color.
And so we took all of the blues and we made a print from it, from the blue plastic.
Gorgeous, just incredible range. And I must say that when we're arranging these things, we're thinking about the bits and pieces of plastic, not as what they are, not what their function is, but as if we're putting brush strokes of paint on a canvas. And we work with it very much like an artist would be creating an image or a painting. And then this print was the centerpiece of our installation. This is at the Bedford. And then we had a wonderful tray display. There's the print. And then on either side are, you want to talk, well, I've got a closer up of those photographs of something called nurdles.
Those little blue things are pre-production plastic. So plastic is made by fracturing it in giant heated alembics, really, and the misting of the hydrocarbons comes down as little a rain of these little particles, and they're called nurdles. And we didn't know what these were when we first found them. And you Google plastic particles, and we came to this thing called nurdles. And we found that there is a professor of material science in Tokyo who is studying these things. And we're included in his academic paper on nurdles because we sent him our nurdles. And these blue nurdles happen to be from Africa. And so much of the plastic in Africa is made into water bottles. They pre-color it. So we were finding blue nurdles.
This is full disclosure because typically we stay within the parameters of Kehoe Beach and 1,000 meters of that one beach. But in this case, we'd gone on vacation thinking that we would go to the beach and there would be no trouble. We would just relax, we'd swim.
A little island in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
And we walk out first day and what do we see? Nurdles. But here's some nurdles from Kehoe Beach. We have nurdles aplenty. The thing is, they're so tiny, it might look like a little pebble or you might not even recognize it, but once you start to see them, then you can see them. And then we had a toss of scattering of the water bottles to represent this idea of the great conveyor. Growing up, or as we came into awareness of ourselves as artists, this image was key in the development, at least for me and for Richard, of our awareness of the planet and our awareness of our place on the planet, our awareness of our place in the solar system.
This is a photograph by William Anders taken Christmas Eve, 1968.
So this image came across our visual screens, and screens, it wasn't screen, there was a little TV set back then, one TV set and what, 3 channels or something. But at any rate, this came into our
The
windows.
cover of Life magazine.
Yeah, maybe cover of Life magazine. And then soon thereafter,
It was a month later, the Santa Barbara oil blowout happened, and we had these pictures.
So these 2 images really worked in synergy. They catalyzed an incredible force of action in people's minds and in reality, and came tumbling out of the power of those images, a cascade of legislation, real action to think about what we're doing to our dear planet.
Now, if as you read all of these legislative acts, you need to be reminded that these all happened during the Nixon administration. Enough said about that.
Yeah. Anyway, but there's still many refinements, many things need to be done in this way.
So more currently, this is the Horizon, what was it called?
BP oil spill.
The BP oil spill.
So for some people, this is a more recent image that people might be able to connect with, the power of images. So what is the powerful image of this creative spark, this transmission of idea to idea that moves us in our work?
So the way we have worked, both of us, all of our lives, we have worked with the idea that you wait to receive that nibble from that fish inside the body. And the key is to act on it, to actually do it. Like that picture of the hole that's in my front yard is key. What you do is you do it. And things evolve out of that. If you have an idea and let it just sit there, all it does is sit there. But if you act on it, there's a very tremendous power in human action.
So thinking of this image, surprisingly, one day at the beach, we found both of these. And we thought, boy, there's a direct correlation of divine inspiration right here on Kehoe Beach.
Yes, there's the green trinity. And,
and the Barbie doll hand. There's something metaphoric there, huh?
So I was trained as a sculptor, and this piece is from 1968, and it relates to meditation. So I was initiated in meditation with the Maharishi in 1967, and I was studying metalwork with a master metalworker, and I had kind of proven my chops, and he said, okay, here's this. He gave me a 30 by 40 inch sheet of copper that was a 1/4 inch thick, about as thick as this thing is. And I was in a panic and sat in his garden, and I watched this thing manipulate itself in my mind, this sheet of copper manipulate itself into this object. And that kind of meditative flow has been with me ever since. And so this is like 6 years later. I was a graduate student at the University of Wisconsin, and I had this idea that there was a gateway into another world. And so I made a monument for that gateway into another world. This is welded aluminum. It's 9 feet tall. And, but the problem was the eco movement was just warming up, and I felt terrible. Here I am using all of this material for what? For my own ego, for what was I doing? What was I thinking? So for my master's thesis, what I did is I went around to all of the sculpture studios that were at the university, and I went gathering up all the scraps of the stuff that people weren't using. And I made my MFA show out of all of the stuff that was lying around, scraps of cloth. So that that has filtered, that was in 1972, and that has filtered to now. Still at it.
Still at it. So my journey with the beach plastic began in 1996. I was an instructor, art instructor for College of Marin but worked in convalescent hospitals and care facilities. And I was teaching at Marin Convalescent up the hill in Tiburon. And every day at lunch, I would go down and sit at Blackie's pasture. There was a little bench there. And over time, I started seeing things were starting to wash ashore. And I thought, this is 1996. And I just started picking things up and putting them together. Just how weird, a shuttlecock and a phone receiver. What does that mean? Not sure, but a little bit inspired by the symbology of the surrealist, just these odd juxtapositions of things.
And that's like a phone conversation.
Yeah, badminton, back and forth,
Right.
exactly. Or the paintbrush of what's coming out of it is this kind of plastic debris.
And in 79, I had an idea that that artists needed help to realize their vision. And so I and my son and David Salgado started Electric Works, which was a place where artists could come and realize their vision. And we called it the Land of Yes because we meant it.
Mm-hmm. We all need that yes. So one of the great yeses was at the community center. Richard had a great idea that, we all love the community center and the mural. Many of you know that mural and probably missing it pretty well by now, the magnificent thing. And Richard had the idea that it actually could be repaired. It could be brought back to its former.
Well,
look.
it had faded, and there were initials carved into the
Yeah.
tree image, and kids had done graffiti on it. And it was just a mess. So how do you, what's the idea here is to use artwork to re-establish artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So
Richard took photographs of the damaged one, digitally, then hand drew and colorized it, and took photographs of that colorized image, and then made prints. And those prints then were sold as a Kickstarter to the fundraiser that was very successful and allowed for the rehabilitation of the bringing the mural back to its grand state. Track lights were put in, and now a beautiful glass wall, so to help protect the surface.
and you can buy one.
Those prints are still available. They're still available, and all the proceeds for those prints go to support the community, the arts program at the community center. And if you go to the community center website, there's information about a little bit more of the history of the mural, Delmu, the artist history, and
Let's go back one.
I don't know that oh, there we go. Yeah.
And this goes back to the first idea is what do artists do? You have a little idea and you act on it, and you do that thing that you thought of. If you don't do it, as some people say, when you have inspiration, you have a spoonful of inspiration. If you don't act on it, you take that spoonful and you throw it into the ocean where it disappears forever.
Not
So,
like plastic. No.
So what's important is to act on it. And we've done all sorts of fundraising things. We've raised thousands of dollars for various arts organizations using this model, which is selling art to fund art.
Mhm.
So this is one of those little things that came from that
Land of Yes.
the land of yes, and that hole in the ground. You just have to reach in and pull it
Then
out.
pull them out. Yeah. Okay, so if you're interested in a print, Larry is your go-to person. So thinking of this land of yes, how can we utilize Electric Works and the facilities there to enhance our own art practices? A high resolution camera, we could arrange the plastic on underneath that the lighting system and photographs, and then because of the lighting, it made them very dimensional and just beautiful.
Well, when we first got the camera, we were trying to figure out how to use it. What was the depth of field? What was the color fidelity? So we needed to take a picture of something we actually had. And I happened to have a bag full of beach plastic in my trunk. And I brought it in and we did a photograph of it. And we went, whoa.
That's good. So one of our great inspirations here is Kandinsky, his ideas about abstraction, shape, form, and also jazz music is another big inspiration. And so we did. And so we went, and making prints has become a big part of our art practice. As Richard said, we keep all the plastic, we don't let it go anywhere, we don't want it back out in the world. So we arrange and rearrange and we recycle our own best finds, our most precious objects. And here's a grouping of some of the prints. And now another fundraising idea here, you can get them too. These are plastically impossible puzzles. We have partnered with our good friends at Ocean Recovery Alliance in Hong Kong to create, we did 3 of the images here and they did 3 images, and they're not exactly impossible. They're hard, but it's really a lot of fun, and it's a great way to talk about plastic. And while you're working on trying to find that piece, and the complete satisfaction when that last piece goes into place. See, even these guys can do it. If they can do it, you can do it.
So one of the ideas that came up out of that well was the Poetry Jukebox. So I had gone through a very difficult year, parents dying. I had some ongoing health issues, 2 car wrecks, neither were my fault. What else happened? Oh, and then I started my business at the same time. So I was having a hard time sleeping. So in order to fall asleep, I started memorizing poetry. It didn't help one bit, but at the end of it, I had, well, at this point, it's about 140 poems memorized. And so we thought we'd do, the Poetry Jukebox. So Judith, my able assistant, nice dress.
Made the box. It's modeled on a Wurlitzer classic, and Richard got in it. And this is at Burning Man. But the jukebox has gone on to many, also an astounding fundraiser. You can have him at your party or your event for a donation to a nonprofit. And it's been an auction item, and we've really taken it.
We've raised over $15,000 so far.
Doing the Poetry Jukebox. But again, a little crazy idea. And I think do you want to do a little poem?
Do I?
Yeah.
Sure, let me think for a minute.
All right.
I
want to put you on the spot.
Oh yeah, we put our names into a thing called, what is it, honey?
Lease honey.
Lease honey.
Yeah.
And so just yesterday morning, some beehives came to us. So they're using our property to house their bees, which we're happy about, and we'll get a little honey out of it. And we'll get our fruit trees fertilized. And so this is the poem that came to mind. It's called It's called Honey at the Table. And it's by Mary Oliver. And it goes, and so at last I climbed the honey tree. I ate chunks of pure light. I ate the bodies of bees that could not get out of my way, such frenzy. But joy does that in the beginning, and maybe I'll come back only sometimes. Maybe I'll come back only sometimes and with a middling hunger, but now I clamber like a snake, I climb like a bear to the dark, nuzzling place of the tree where the bees have racked up the treasure of their thighs. Oh, anyone can see how I love myself at last, how I love the world at last, singing in a heaven of appetite.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Yay.
So where do we go? What next? Who knows? But off we go.
Planet Earth.
Here we are. Okay. I'm gonna come back to all y'all. And maybe we have, I don't know if we got any questions or anything. Oh, good. You put some of the links are in the chat box. And I don't know, does anybody, any questions out there, anything?
Well, actually, I think I do. I've been curious about when you take this, your plastic show on the road. I was looking at that long list of, do you find yourself engaging? I guess what I want to know is what kind of responses do you get? I can see it kind of around the Bay Area, Northern California. You get kind of one kind of take on it, but when you go farther afield, assuming you go farther afield, what kind of responses do you think you get from people, the dialogues you have with people?
Well, we had a really interesting invitation from the museum in Rockport, Texas, which is right on the Texas Gulf Coast, not too far from Houston. A lot of oil refineries in the distance, and those people loved it. They were so happy to see what we had to show.
Well, not only show, but one of the ways when we go and can do a workshop is to have people put their hands on the material, and not just like you're drinking your water bottle, but to see the quantity of the material, and then to be just in direct contact. One of the things that when people look at our prints, for example, because they are very dimensional and they almost look like they're real on the page, to see people like looking at them, thinking about, wow, we want them to come to the question, well, maybe was that toothbrush once mine? How did that comb end up on the beach? So to gain a very personal connection with it. And we try, beauty is our prime directive, that we want what we do to look beautiful, to be engaging, not scolding. We want to activate people in a positive way, not by, I mean, it's a sad story to see all the plastic on the beach, but we want people to be uplifted by what we do and feel that they too can take action.
You know, we often say that it was not bombs and bullets that took down the Berlin Wall. It was blue jeans and rock and roll. Joie de vivre and style.
So are you seeing successes in producing less plastic, finding substitutes? I want some hope.
Oh, well.
Never mind. Here's a different
That was,
question.
hope was 2 administrations ago.
Well, you know, there's been some setback because of the COVID and the use of masks and gloves and My sister is also a beach activist artist down in San Diego, and she did an amazing photo essay just walking around her community and the discarded masks that she photo documented each one and made a map showing the location, and it was quite stunning, the increase in that kind of debris. And so that's
Yeah.
not hopeful.
No. Okay, so are the puzzles for sale?
Yes, they are. Yes, the puzzles are for sale. We're going to the link. We're going to update the link, so I'll make sure that it's clear where the puzzles can be purchased. They are a benefit for the Ocean
Recovery Alliance
in Hong Kong, and partnering with the River Alliance back in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and ourselves. It's 3 nonprofits that have coordinated efforts to make the puzzles possible.
No, so honestly and truly, we're very hopeful because we know that the Tao, T-A-O, is very real, and things shift and things swing, and we know it's going to be all right. We know it's going to be all right. That doesn't mean that things aren't going to get really crappy for a while, but it really does swing around.
Well, I guess I was asking that a question. This is Larry again. That a question initially, just because I can't imagine going to one of these shows and seeing this plastic in all these different contexts and just kind of overwhelmed by like how many, little big lighters or some of the stuff, and people not going away and having some kind of conversation about it. I mean, it's just putting it in more and more people's heads every time they see those kind of graphic images. It's something that's commonplace in their life, but it's in a whole different realm here. When you see this, you think, oh yeah. By the way, the link for the puzzles is in the chat.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I think more and more artists are actually doing work related to the climate crisis and plastic. Just people I know.
Yeah. Now there's a huge upwelling, and actually thanks to the internet, there are communities of people, artists, working, connecting up, and it's very encouraging that way. We were just on a Zoom 2 days ago. Duke University put together a week-long convocation of artists and speakers, day-long events, multiple speakers, and an art exhibition with, 400 or 500 artworks from all around the planet. So it's definitely something that's happening, and that gives us hope.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are we raising hands or what are we doing?
Oh, go ahead.
So if you are, you're recycling the plastic, you make something, you take a picture of it, and then you take it apart, put the plastic back in its sorted boxes, but you're also collecting plastic still from the beaches. So is your plastic collection like forever growing? Do you, what's that word? I don't remember. What's the word? Do you like curate the plastic that you pick up on the beach?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, we do.
And we get to tell our kids someday this will all be yours.
When you curate it, where does it go?
Well, we don't, if there's really a lot of plastic on the beach, we don't pick it up. We go for the red or go for the blue when we're doing the thing in Bedford. So we say, oh, we're going to go shopping, and we'll pick up what we need. Say we've got an assignment, we'll go and pick up what we need.
There's no cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a scheme proffered last year. This guy had the idea that he would go out to the gyre and lasso up all the plastic and bring it back, and didn't work out so well.
But we have this idea that by making our artwork very beautiful and then maybe making it really valuable, that people will be clamoring for authentic beach plastic, and everyone will be rushing out to the beach to collect the best, and there will be, it'll be highly competitive.
They'll come to us for authentication. The business.
This may add to the trash, but you almost want to see enormous sort of signs and that are posted with just these shots like you have of the trash, so people driving by can kind of just see that as the art, because it really looks, so what you have there is visually, artistically wonderful, but it's trash, and that you want to get the person that's on the street or not thinking of art in that sense to visually see it and have to respond to it.
Well, that's our hope, that people will pick up wherever they are. We're fortunate because we have this really beautiful beach close by, but say we did a workshop in Dallas, and we took a suitcase load of plastic there and had people make it, doing their arrangements and photographing them. And they were having such a great time. And this huge hue and cry went out. They said, oh, we don't have, what are we going to do when you're gone? We don't have any plastic here. And so we went out and along the gutter, like around here, like along the freeway or whatever, we went out in a half hour, we came back with a bag of plastic, small bits of plastic. And we said, look, there's plastic everywhere.
Happened to be 2 toy guns in our collection.
Yeah.
So there's plastic everywhere. We have a whole section that we call household plastic. And unfortunately, you can't get rid of it. It's the little pull tabs. It's, little computer parts on the ink. We have jars of this household plastic, and we use that as an example of people can find art materials anywhere they want. They can be using those things to arrange and make interesting things to look at.
So when we do workshops, we'll bring a lot of plastic with us, and what we do is we set up a photo station with a Polaroid camera, and people can make their own photographs of their own arrangements. Which is a lot of fun. People get into it, especially kids. I mean, you just can't keep them away from the stuff.
Or even not doing the Polaroid, we'll do an Instagram or a Facebook account. And so people can show and share each other, show what they've accomplished.
Do you find socio-political opposition on a coast, say, of Florida or Texas or South Carolina?
Never.
No, never.
Never.
I just wondered, because my conservative Republican sister in South Carolina only drinks bottled water on those little plastic bottles, and I didn't even dare bring it up to her. She would have been so dismissive. But you never run into that.
Haven't.
Yeah.
I have a practical question. It's Edie Ann. Do you do any particular cleaning process when you bring the plastic home?
No, it seems to be pretty clean. We wash the sand off of it.
We lay it out in the sun, rinse off, lay it in the sun.
We did a workshop with, what's the name of the thing in the city? The halfway house.
Larkin Street Youth.
Larkin Street Youth, and they went into the gutters collecting plastic, and that stuff we cleaned.
How did you clean it?
Clean that.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't. We only took photographs of the stuff in the gutters. Yeah. No.
They had a bucket with water and bleach.
Yeah. We did?
They did.
I don't remember. Okay.
You could start selling all the plastic that you don't use. You could make little kits, and for those people who feel like they don't have enough plastic in their environment, it could be their own little art kit.
We did that. We have little bags with little labels, like that would be on a point of purchase sale at the cash register.
Point of sale items, yeah.
We also have a gumball machine that for 25 cents, you put in your money and put a little bag, and you get a little filling of small pieces of plastic.
Excellent.
Do you build this as authentic California coast plastic? I mean,
Kehoe Beach plastic.
Cachet to the
Kehoe Beach. Well, that's one of our things is we have plastic from all around the world, but we keep it segregated. So everything that we have is from Kehoe Beach. Because, the problem is so immense. How do you really create a metric to understand this? And one of the things that we like to say is, imagine a mile-long line of shopping carts filled with plastic being dumped into the ocean every 5 seconds.
Wow.
Tick, 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 tick.
Wow. It's just unbelievable.
So, and since 1999, the two of us, that's when we joined forces, we have devoted ourselves to only 1,000 meters of one beach. So those of you that have been to Kehoe Beach, you come up over the rise and then you drop down to the beach. We always go to the right towards McClure's, and that's been our area of investigation, devotion.
And during a drought year, you won't find much plastic.
Oh, because it washes in from the land.
It washes in, but it also has to do with the currents. The California current brings the plastic in, and then the Davidson current, which braids with the California current in the winter, brings our rain, and it also brings plastic. So,
Is it less plastic or no plastic?
oh, I don't know. It's
Less,
less, definitely less.
Okay.
But we were professional. We know where behind the dune. There's certain places that you just know where there's going to be plastic. It's amazing. Gets caught up in the high grasses, the high tide lines, and can't get washed out again. So come on, let's go.
And for a long time, Judith and I were very competitive with each other. Who was
For a
going to
long time, you make it sound like we're not anymore.
No, because I gave up. I gave up competing because Judith is just so good at it. Imagine, a whole swirl of seaweed, and Judith reaches in and pulls out a little plastic AR-15. She's brilliant.
This is Larry again, breaking in. I can really imagine this as a book. Has that crossed your minds? I can't imagine it hasn't crossed your mind.
It has crossed our minds. We've been round the block several times with that idea, but we continue to avidly blog. We found that that's a really great way to get our ideas out into the world. And so the link to our blog is on the chat thing, and we're always posting and have been posting. We didn't start out right away with blog. I think we started in 2005 with the blogging, and over the years have.
You have a couple of blogs. I've tried to figure out which one. It seems like there was one about the house or the land or something.
Yeah, we have one about Rancho D, which is Rancho Deluxe, which is our place, about our garden, our quasi efforts at farming and gardening, and now bees. And so that's just about where we live and our interest in kind of being back to the landers.
You didn't say anything about the chickens.
Oh, chickens. Yeah, chickens. We got COVID.
But the other one is your art.
Plastic Forever.
Plastic art blog.
Yeah, that's the art blog about the plastic. And then we have a website, beachplastic.com. And that's more static. It just showcases some of the exhibitions that we've had and shows some of the prints, and that we don't. And if you want to see the movies, there's several short movies about us. That's on our website.
You have to go to in the news section. You can see the movies.
Yeah.
I have a question about the oil rig.
Yeah.
So are those glued? Is it all glued together, and or are you going to take that apart also when it's done? Or like, and also you made that dragon out of the pencils that we had up at the library that was so beautiful. Do you have those? Do you have that dragon? Or yeah,
I do. The Oil Derrick, it's my hope that it will have other venues. It's I won't. The pieces, because of being in a public place and the requirements of sort of, you might say, engineering from the Parks and Rec of how solid it has to be, how well secured. All of the pieces of plastic were first wired, the underlayment, all the pieces are wired on to an under armature. And then on top of that, I sort of embellished, I hot glued with black. I was able to get black hot glue, industrial strength, and there's pieces glued on top of that. So that's not going to come apart easily, but it's my hope that it will make the go rounds. One of the interesting perceptions of the piece is coming out the top is this just spew of black plastic bag. Ominous and frightening. And it's also quite lyrical because there's almost always a little breeze there. So again, I want there to be this horror of the fright of the plastic, and then, oh my goodness, isn't this something really interesting to look at and enjoy? I want it to be both. And the pencil dragon still lives. Fortunately, we have a barn and there these things go, but it's still there.
How long is the piece going to stay at the parkade?
Till June, end of June. And come on, anybody wants to meet me for a coffee and an ice cream, we're good.
By the way, for people who are coming in late, who may feel like they've been missing out on something, we are recording this, so you can go, not today, but you can go later to our website and you'll find it in our video library of under the art salon segments. Just
Where did you say that was? On the SGB website?
It'll say video event library, I believe. But,
Great, and there's been some really great,
and
it's
that we
a
have
wonderful way for us to connect and to kind of get an understanding about who we are in this community. So thank you very much to the Community Center for keeping us all going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, Richard and Judith, yeah, it's Dave Court. So great to see you and so many people I haven't seen in over a year in the gallery here. And first of all, I love recollecting the story about the mural and its restoration and how you continue to support that. And one of the things we're really excited about at the Community Center, one of the programs that really has burgeoned over the last 4 years is what we're calling our Next Gen program. It's really focusing on like 16, 17-year-olds to 28-year-olds. And as part of the Next Gen group, there is a climate action group that Corey Van Gelder, who lives in Woodacre, she works with a whole group of young people in that age bracket. So it might be really interesting. I don't know if you've connected to Corey about that. And then there's also the West Marin climate action group, that's again, very focused in that age group. So I know that's one of the things that's given me a lot of hope and optimism is, how many of our middle schoolers, our teens, and our young adults are really engaged in climate activism and and finding many ways. And at the Community Center, we're doing everything we can to support and help facilitate those groups.
We did connect with Corey and those youth when they did their performance at the Woodacre Women's Club.
Right.
They did the
Yeah.
fantastic kind of
Right.
dancing. And Richard's image of the hands coming out of the water was projected
Right,
onto
yeah.
their scrims there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? It was great.
Yeah.
And we had an opportunity to work with Corey.
Right.
And we would love to, when things get going again, to participate more with that kind of thing.
Great. Thank you.
And they're designing a mural right now. The Next Gen is working on a mural that's kind of dedicated to your Earth, honoring hopefully Connie Smith Siegel. So that it would be great for you guys to connect with them possibly around that as well.
Great.
Well,
We'll connect to Corey tomorrow in our staff meeting.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I imagine you do a lot with kids and with schools. with your work?
We do, and we have, and we're going to be doing a preschool Earth. We've got a thing going. We've got some kids in our family who are in preschool, and we're going to be doing a Earth Day event with the preschoolers, and it's extraordinary. We just have a big box of multicolored pieces of shards and fragments, and you get the kids around in a circle, and then you pour this big box of plastic into the center of the circle, and they just go right. They know exactly what to do. There's just no hesitation. They start picking, and maybe they want pink, all the pinks. Let's get all the pink or whatever, and they start making arrangements, and it's just like they dive right in. So we're looking forward to that. For the real Earth Day, we're going to be doing that.
Sounds like weird Legos, sort of.
Right. Yeah, all different shapes and sizes.
So are there other questions?
There's a question.
I see a hand.
Please.
I think you're muted.
Yep.
Muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm really flabbergasted with the amount of work that you've both done on all of this. And I love the Poetry Jukebox. I think that was
That's a
brilliant.
good one.
You guys have just gone to so many lengths, far and wide, of doing amazing creative things with plastic. And I also want to say that I work in the operating room at Kaiser, where we generate tons of plastic
Yeah.
waste.
Yeah, medical waste.
And I am a waste champion. It says it on my name badge. 3 of us nurses are waste champions. And part of our jobs is to make sure people are throwing away or putting things in the proper receptacles to go to the proper places to be recycled.
That's good.
But there's jobs like learning how to use our skills instead of using a plastic thingy to ensure sterility, for instance. We have these little spouts. They're called decanters, basically. One end, they're both sterile. Each end is sterile. Each end has a separate plastic thing covering it. One end is sharp. You snap off the plastic cap of a vial of medication, stick in the sharp pointy end in there after you rub it with alcohol, of course, and then take the other plastic thing off the end and use that to pour so that it kind of goes off into the sterile field into a medicine cup in an arc, so that we're not putting microbes from our hands right over the sterile field and, making it, and inhibiting sterility,
Yeah,
basically.
it's a learning.
Anyways, there's ways of doing it without that whole contraption. And one of the ways is a metal tool that actually peels off the top. And then you hold your hand in a certain way and the thing arcs out all by itself. Anyway, so those are the kind of things that we're trying to do. And maybe I can use some of what you're teaching in all of your workshops and your blog and whatnot. I'm going to share that with my staff and help them to understand, how we can actually prevent just throwing plastic all over the beaches.
That's good.
And do you know how much plastic actually ever gets recycled? Because we recycle metals and everything, but the plastics are all single use, it looks like.
Almost
Pretty much.
nothing. Maybe at the big end is 20%.
Yeah, oh geez, yeah.
That's terrible.
And part of it is that the plastic breaks down
It does. Yeah,
in
yeah.
terrible ways, so that it's not good for you anymore. It's releasing things that are bad for people.
Exactly.
But also, I think at Kaiser, there were people from countries like Russia that were gathering the one singly used plastic and taking it back to their country, where they would sterilize it and reuse it and reuse it and reuse it, because they saw the huge waste in our country of single use, and they just decided to ship it back there. Are you aware of
So
that?
we're now reusing or re-sterilizing and reprocessing single-use items a
Wow.
lot.
That's great.
Yeah, we're doing that a lot. But there's still plastic bottles, plastic caps off sterile items,
Yeah.
and thingies and wrappers, and everything that's sterile comes in a plastic wrapping and with a
Right.
plastic tray. And
But it's an educational issue too, because last time I was in Mexico, it's the amount of discarded plastic along the side of the road. It's just past disgusting. It's just out the window of the car, gone.
Yeah.
anyway, thank you for teaching us,
Yeah.
Richard and
Yeah, we need to pay attention.
Richard and
It's-
Judith. Amazing, amazing.
Thank you all for being here today. This has
Yeah.
been really fun for us. Really, really great to see everybody.
great.
and put this
It's a great format. This is a wonderful way to see everybody too, and to get
Yeah.
that information. It's
I
fantastic.
mean, we wave on the road, but no, this is kind of
I
nice.
know, it's much better, much
I
better.
know. But another note
for
of hope
supper?
is another note of hope that I thought was that UCSF does not allow any plastic bottles to be sold on campus. You won't
Good.
find them anywhere. If you want water, you have to do something else. If you want soda that's not in a can, you have to do something else. So they also sell glass, but no plastic for drinking out of, and also no sugar. They try to keep everything really low sugar, but I just thought that was a note of hope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
excellent,
Little by
excellent.
little.
Well,
great.
we'll learn.
Yeah.
I'm confident. We'll learn the
No,
Dow
no,
swing.
We're talking about our grandkids, our great grandkids.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Mhm.
Um,
Well, thanks for coming, you guys.
Yep.